Hey, after 3 episodes, you should know who it is by now. Yesterday, we finished section 1, part 3. Today, we're going to do section 1, part 4. So, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Akura began to walk Hugo across the bridge. Akura, Hugo spoke her name as she looked back. She felt such strong emotions coming from Junio that feeling them hurt. She had to stop. Are you okay? Hugo asked, concerned. She nodded she was. Is Junio? He noticed Junio stopped. Junio stood at the bridge's base, staring at it. You wanted me to come back, Akura heard Junio. You wanted me here. I never wanted to return. I need you here, she told him. Akura waited, hoping he might respond. She hoped he didn't take off again. That wasn't an option for him this time. Junio turned from the bridge and walked back into the forest. She bit her lip. I'll meet you there, he told her. Watching Akura bite her lip and Junio leave, Hugo realized they had a private conversation. He's headed for the house, Akura said. We can talk now. Okay, do you want me to tell you how I landed in prison? No, we both know I already know that story. But feel free to tell it to Junio sometime. We're going to talk about what happens next. That means you'll probably do most of the talking, am I right? Akura smiled. Jackson framed you for a reason, she said. You know he framed you to protect you, but there are other reasons as well. He's going to explain everything to you, I promise. I wanted to talk with you about a decision. You can leave for Lunaria, or you can stay to assist Junio. That's an odd decision for me to make, Hugo said. I don't know if you know this, but I don't think Junio likes people. He paused, or needs assistance. Things look that way, don't they? But you know what they say. Looks can be deceiving. Not much of a decision. You and Jackson know what I'll decide. You want me with Junio to defeat your father. That's part of it, Akura said. Takashi isn't our father, but he was something of a father figure to Junio. That's a story you might hear one day. You'll head back to the prison with him. He's going back to face the warden. The warden is the reason you were sentenced to die, Hugo said. He's responsible for the death of a dear friend, Akura said. Junio will do whatever it takes to keep me safe. You don't want that. The warden has negatively affected many lives here in Calcedea, Akura said. Everyone knows this. He is a terrible man. I'm afraid of what Junio might do. I understand, Hugo said. Junio and I are tangled up in something. We aren't going to just part ways after this is finished. I guess I can't wait to figure out what it is. Do you really think Junio will go for me going with him? He will, Akura said matter-of-factly. She grabbed Hugo's arm and led him away. Thank you. Calcedea was beautiful. From what Hugo had seen of Lunastra so far, he wouldn't mind exploring more of it, but he hadn't come to Lunastra for a nice vacation. He had come to search for his brother and father, who had left home about 5 years ago. Jackson spoke with Hugo the night before he left. He had told Hugo to come find him after he finished at the university. Hugo promised he wouldn't say anything about Jackson's departure, but their dad discovered it. Once he did, he set off to find Jackson, but not before giving Hugo his chain. Hugo remembered his dad apologizing for having to leave and telling him they wouldn't return. Hugo hadn't understood. You're leaving too? Hugo had said. You won't be coming back, either of you. Why? I can't explain it to you yet, his dad had said. I can't pry it out of you either? Hugo had asked. Forget about it. You're starting school in a few weeks. Your mother and I were able to see you achieve so much. Be there for your mother and allow her to see you achieve so much more. That will take her mind off the three of us leaving her. After I graduate, Hugo said, I'm going to find both of you, and I expect to get some answers. Hugo had been angry, but he ignored his anger as he had with Jackson. Anger never solved anything. He had known it wouldn't make either stay. He had decided in the future he'd find them and find out the meaning behind their actions. Of course you will, his dad had said. He had laughed and embraced him. And when you find me, us, you'll get your answers. I love you. Again, I'm sorry for all this. You and Jackson are so alike, Hugo had said. He'd never understand why Jackson began to hate him. He had watched his father smile. Until I see you again, I expect you to study hard and experience everything life has to offer. If you hope to succeed, you'll have to gain a better understanding of the world and yourself. Hugo had wondered if his dad meant at school or finding them, but he didn't ask because the answer didn't matter. Then I will. He watched his dad walk away. After searching across Solares for a year, Lunastra had been his next destination. Instead of finding Jackson, Jackson found him. Hugo wondered if their dad had found Jackson and if he would find them both in Lunaria. As he and Akura reached her home, Hugo's last thought worried him. When he found them, would he want to know what either of them had to say? Akura slid open the door of her home. She and Hugo walked inside. Akura removed her shoes. He did the same, following suit. Akura led him to a spread where an older woman sat. The older woman stood and went to Akura, embracing her. They both made it, she said. Good, good. Junior's in the back, isn't he? Akura asked her as they broke their embrace. You know him. I tried to get him to come inside to eat, but he... I know, Akura said, and smiled at whom Hugo assumed was her mother. He just needs time. More time. She turned to him and started introductions. I've told you a lot about him already. This is Hugo. Hugo, this is my mother, Yoshino. Hugo heard Akura, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from the late-night dinner. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Sugishima, he said, extending his hand and slowly turning to face her. Finally, I have a face to match your profile, Yoshino said with an inviting smile. Please, Yoshino will be fine. Good to see you well. Yoshino looked like she was in her 50s. She didn't look much like Akura or Junior. She had a loving look in her eyes and a disarming smile, which made Hugo think about his own mom. He smiled when she hugged him instead of taking his hand. You have a little time, Akura said. Because it's late, the guards shouldn't be quick to come here. But you shouldn't stay long. The warden might want to keep up appearances, but he might want me more. I thought everybody knew how shady he is, Hugo questioned. The people know, Yoshino said, but those above him who gave him his power are left in the dark. From their standpoint, he does a great job, so they ignore our complaints. Kinakawa Shinjiro is perfect in their eyes. I'm going to speak with Junyo, Akura told him. My mother will take care of you. See you in a bit. I bet you're hungry, Yoshino said. Yes, I am, Hugo said. You should wash up. There's a restroom down the hall to your left. Of course, I'll be right back. I'll have a plate ready for you by the time you return. Hugo was almost giddy. Walking toward the restroom, Junyo and his mother crossed his mind. She seemed like a sweet person. Raised by her, how did Junio turn out the way he did? When he reached the restroom, he found Akira standing at the door. She handed him a box. "What's this?" Hugo asked her. "A gift from Jackson," Akira said. "He thought you might need a change of clothes." Hugo glanced down at the dried blood on his clothes. "Thanks." Akira handed him towels and a bar of soap along with the box. "My mother ran you a bath." "I'll have to thank her too," he said. He washed and changed, surprised to find the new clothes Lanastron styled. He thought about asking Akira if Jackson had killed Leiko, but he knew she wouldn't say anything on that subject. She said Jackson had framed him. Did that mean Jackson had done it, or he framed him for the murder committed by someone else? He wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer to this question, at least not yet. After he returned to the table, Yoshino had a plate full of food waiting for him. "Thanks a lot," Hugo said, sitting down, "for everything." "I'm glad to see someone with a healthy appetite," Yoshino said. "It was no problem." Hugo noticed a small smile cross her face. He saw a glimpse of sadness in her expression. For her brief moment, her eyes wandered toward the hall where Akira left to speak with Junyo, but they quickly returned to her. "Let's not let this dinner go to waste." Yoshino made herself a plate and poured them something to drink before they ate together. She laughed, Hugo knew, at the crazy expressions he made while enjoying his food. He had been so hungry, and the food was so good. With food this good, he couldn't help over enjoy it.